Hey guys, it's Sam, and I am bringing you the booktube oldie tag, which is a tag that I just created. Maybe somebody went out there. I actually haven't looked if someone did a tag like this. But this is the one that I just created because literally this last weekend at BookNet Fest, a bunch of us were talking on panels and just like outside of panels a lot about like community and building connections and building nuanced conversations and all of that. And like the history of different bookish platforms, but booktube obviously came up. And so many people lamented tags and tags being gone and tags not being a main video. And I was like, I'm bringing them back because I really enjoyed them when they were a thing. And I know so many people did the booktube newbie tag, very popular tag on booktube to this day. So I've created the booktube oldie tag. Question number 1, when did you start your channel? I started my channel in July of 2014. This year is my 10-year anniversary of being on booktube. What were your staple videos when you first started your channel versus now? When I first started my channel, it was very sort of prescribed of like, the things that were popular were monthly wrap-ups, monthly TBRs, book hauls, and like standalone reviews a little bit, and tags were like the biggest content. Like some in-depth discussion videos on certain books, like book chat type videos, those were the big bread and butter though. Now I still obviously make a lot of those videos, but something that I was struggling with more recently in the last year when I haven't been as consistent with making content because I wasn't loving it for a number of reasons and just was really busy and had other hobbies and things. But one of the things that I was noticing is I was like, okay, I don't necessarily find some of the videos that I was making to be as fun anymore. But I also still want to talk about books, but I kind of don't know how because, not know how, that sounds silly because I've been doing this for 10 years, but more so like I do not know the format I want it to take anymore, kind of. What is really popular on booktube now, which I don't even know if you could call it booktube anymore, like I don't know if this is considered part of booktube, is I've seen way more long form content like video essays in general on YouTube, also popular in bookish spaces. And while I love watching those myself, I am not going to do a 30-minute deep dive on anything because the amount of like actual filming you have to do for that is like hours and editing and all that. And like the just caliber of booktube is so much different than it used to be. Before you really could like sit down with your camera in a random place, which you can again still do, but like the big channels are doing these like very cultivated things now. And I'm not searching for being a huge channel. My desire for that has never really been there, but has waned even more since I've been doing this. But I do just want like a very good community. So I was like, how do I do this? I still sort of want to wrap up what I'm reading. I still really want to talk about series and like goals and things that I'm like working on with books, and I still want to review books. So over the last few months, I've really been thinking about that. And I also talked about this a little bit with friends at BookNet Fest and have sort of been trying to figure out ways to do that because again, when I first got into booktube, it was like, here's what you do. And I was like, well, I want to do that. Great. And now it's been a little bit more of like, well, how do you do something that's like in between that? So some of the things I'm shifting around is I'm going to do wrap-ups that aren't monthly, that are just whenever I accrue enough books. It will still probably be around monthly because like that's how often I tend to accrue enough books. I'm still reading the same amount, but sticking it to like I have to film like a wrap up around the beginning or end of the month kind of thing is just like not working for me. I'm doing a lot of audio reviews on Patreon, so I'm audio reviewing every single book that I'm reading, whether it's in a themed category with a bunch of other books that are also of that theme and like making connections and whatever, or if it's just a standalone. But I'm doing that all on Patreon. I will still do some video reviews, but just not every book is going to be a video review. I'm going to be starting a new thing that is also involving Patreon a little bit, but is still going to be a public accessed thing. I'm going to be doing live streams once a month with people talking about a certain topic that I would maybe make a video on, but is more like collaborative conversation because after BookNet Fest, I was so like, what I'm craving is like nuanced conversation and the things that we get at BookNet Fest throughout the year. So I'm going to be cultivating that on my channel, doing like live streams, bringing in some people that I'm like sort of just choosing, some friends and things that are about a certain topic, but then also a couple of my Patreon supporters will get pulled in for those if they want to. So that's going to be happening. And yeah, I think that's a big thing. And then I'm still going to be doing like quarterly like goal wrap-ups and stuff like that. So that's sort of what this is looking like. There's also going to be a lot more content that I'm working on because I'm sort of in charge of social media for BookNet Fest from here on out. Not that Mari will do none of it, but like I'm mostly, when you see stuff about BookNet Fest on social media, it's me. So I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with that. So I'm just really focusing my content these days on community, which is it's not that I never, like that I ever really strayed from that, but I think that was so a focus when I was first starting. And then I just sort of hit a certain stride and just sort of kept making videos, and community just sort of happened naturally, and I didn't necessarily have to work for it. And I feel like now we're in a space with social media where I'm having to like work for it again, because it's not the given, because a lot of the platforms are not super community oriented. So yeah, that was my long rambly answer of what's going on with things, but that's what I am going to be working on and doing community oriented video wise. What was your favorite book the year that you started your channel versus now? So you want to hear something funny? One of my favorite books of 2014 is still one of my favorite books of all time. Like my favorite book of all time. So back in 2014, I did book awards, which I still do. I do more like superlatives and stuff, but I didn't rank, and I still kind of don't rank my favorites of the year, but I didn't rank my favorites of the year like at all. So I didn't say in the video I don't think this was my favorite, but it is and it was. And it's The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Yup. It's my favorite book of all time, and it was then, and it is now. I think that I read The Night Circus before 2014. I want to say, maybe I didn't. Maybe I read it earlier in I might have. I thought I read it originally in 2013. Maybe I reread it in 2014. But either way, a favorite of the year, and a favorite to this day. But then to give you another one that's like a blast from the past, I said one of my favorite books of 2014 was Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, which has fallen so far out of my favor that I no longer even own the books because the series went downhill so much. And a more recent favorite would be like The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden, or Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Moral of the story here is that I've really always had good taste. And even Fallen Kingdoms was good when it was good. But yeah, the fact that like 2014 I also love The Night Circus. When you know, you know. How has your reading and the reading trends of the community changed since you started your channel? So, since I started my channel, like when I first started my channel, I read even more than I do now, but the pace that I have now is like solid and still a lot of reading. But when I first started my channel, I was reading like probably 10 or more books a month. That is no longer possible with the like amount of stuff that I have going on in my life and other hobbies that I have. But at the time, I really only had like reading and content creation that I was devoting a lot of my life to. It was just a bigger chunk of the pie of my life. And now it doesn't have quite as much time. So I was doing a lot of that. And yeah, like as far as trends, like things haven't changed a ton. I did when I first started my channel, I'm trying to go like a little more niche as far as some of the things, because broad strokes, I read a lot of fantasy, I still do. I read some sci-fi, I still do. But broad strokes is I used to read a lot of YA when I first started the channel. I read primarily adult now. I read more sci-fi than I did. I also didn't start reading romance until I want to say like 2019, and I had a phase of reading a lot of romance. I haven't read a lot of romance, like just contemporary romance, in a minute, but I still do enjoy that as a genre, and we'll like still dip back into that. And yeah, when I first started my channel, I probably wasn't reading as much like nonfiction and things for work, or even like audiobooks. I got into audiobooks later on. So the trends have remained, like the larger trends have remained the same, but some of the niche things about it have differed. As far as reading community trends, I don't necessarily think a ton of things have changed. Like I just tend to follow the people that read genres that I really like. I will say that like TikTok and BookTok have really gotten romance and dark romance and like monster romance way more front and center than it ever was on like BookTube, for example. BookTube definitely had a pretty voracious romance community at one point, but it felt like it was a niche part of it, where with BookTok, it's like the biggest part of it, right? So yeah, but overall, like I think people continue to like what they like, and that hasn't changed a ton. When we first started with BookTube, and this goes back to like content and stuff, it was a lot more of like tags and things as far as like talking about reading. And then it has now, and it was like creating your own like read-alongs, I feel like, and buddy reads were slightly more popular. Now I'm seeing way more like readathons being a thing, which is funny because Tome Topple was one of the first ones that really started taking off as a readathon. Trendsetter. But yeah, I feel like, and like reading sprints and like silent reading sprints more of a thing now than they were with the beginning of BookTube. No. Should cry. Yes. You wanna come up? Anything you want to share about your life that has changed since you started your channel? If you guys have been around at all, you know some of this. When I first started my channel, I was living in Delaware. I have been living back in Chicago for a handful of years now, so like 4 years, and I love it so much more. I was way more miserable in Delaware. I was in a relationship that lasted 5 years when I was in Delaware. That has since ended, and I'm in different relationships now. When I first started my channel, Kit was 4. She is 14 now. When I first started my channel, I did not have Binks. He is now 9. When I first started my channel, I did not have Tally. She is now 8. Are you 8? I'm pretty sure you're 8. When I first started my channel, I did not have a master's degree. I do now. And I went to grad school while I had my channel. And I got cancer when I had my channel. And yeah, don't have that anymore, in case you guys didn't know that. BookNet Fest has started since having this channel. So we started BookNet Fest in 2017, and it is currently we just had our 5th in-person year. Also, if you want to go to BookNet Fest next year, it's May 23rd and 24th, 2025, in Orlando, Florida. And currently, as of the filming of this video, and if you're watching it soon after, we're currently having a very, 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 very short pre-sale with a pretty steep discount to the tickets for next year. So if you want to participate with us next year, please check that out. Link in the description. Oof, what else has changed? I mean, a lot has changed. I have a really amazing friend group now. I have different ways that I do relationships now. I have a ton of hobbies. I rock climb. I do witchcraft. I have a ton of tattoos that I didn't have when I first started. My hair has changed back and forth a few different times. What else? What else? What else, baby? But you've remained constant. You've been here the whole time. Oh, she's perfect. Yeah. Those are like the big, broad stroke life things that have happened in the last 10 years. 10. Why do you keep making videos? I kind of touched on this with the content thing, but I keep making videos for a number of reasons. One is that I love talking about books, and I still don't have anyone in my like day-to-day life, personal life, whatever, that reads as much as I do. I have a number of reader friends now that are still like reading a book a month, maybe 2. No one is reading like 7, which is my average these days. Like 6 or 7 books a month is my like solid average. So no one is doing that. No one is quite as up on what's going on in the book world. Even with me having stepped back a lot in the last like 6 months to a year, I still know way more about what's going on than your average person does, right? So I still want to talk about books with people. I still like the accountability of talking about books with people. I still love the community a lot. And the biggest thing has been like this community thing. And so for a while it's been, like I mentioned earlier, like how do I still foster community with not quite as much time? Because for the longest time it was also like consistency, and you have to be just like available all the time, and you have to be on it, and you have to be up on every single thing that's happening. And I do not find that to be healthy for me. So I was like, how do I do this? But I still really like the check-ins and stuff. I still really like the community and just like fostering community. So yeah, if anything I've been talking about, if you're like, hey, this would be a really great way to like do more community stuff, let me know. But that's pretty much why I keep making videos. I still really like talking about books. The foundation of when you talk about books is why I started this channel, and I want to keep doing that. And so even though I've had times where I'm just like, I don't really have time for content right now, and I don't really have a desire to make content right now, it's become such a part of my identity. I've been doing it for 10 years. And it's also like this thing that I'm just like, okay, but like, it's not just easy for me to put down. There's still something holding me to this that I really enjoy. So it's just the evolution of it all. And lastly, what are you excited for or hoping for the future of BookTube specifically? I'm going to talk a little bit about like the Bookternet, but BookTube specifically, I love the long form video essays on YouTube in general, but I am hoping for the next evolution, because I do think that is so incredibly niche and time consuming. Not even just within the book space, but just in general. And so I want there to be something like in between. So I'm excited for that to be potentially a thing in the like evolution of YouTube. I do want there to be more of a shift back to community spaces. I enjoy lots of things about TikTok, but TikTok is not a community-oriented platform at all. In the ways that we've been able to make like YouTube be more community-oriented, it's still not great. But I hope that the next iteration of social media platform is slightly more community oriented. I think people are pushing for that a little bit more. I think for the longest time, like social media started as community building and then shifted a lot to just being about just like, you know, your brand and advertising and influencers and that. And like, I hope something comes out that is a little bit more like community based again. Like I think so many people are like yearning for that. So I hope for that. I hope for a lot more of expansion with BookNet Fest, just because it is doing what we wanted it to do and what we value, which is community building and nuanced conversations and friendship making and talking about books and about more than just the basics about books. So I hope for the future of that. Yeah, I just hope for like a little bit of freshness again. with like the Bookish spaces and things. That's mostly about content. I could talk differently about future of like publishing and what I want, but that's like a whole different video that I could make. But yeah, as far as like content, that is what I'm hoping for. So yeah, comment down below, let me know the answers to all of these questions for you. And I'm gonna actually like tag people. The last time that I made a tag, and how I made a tag for a while was like, if you like this tag, do this tag, because I would just find a tag I liked and I didn't even worry about being tagged. I'm tagging people. I'm gonna tag Mari from My Name is Mari Inez. I'm gonna tag Tori from Tori Morrow, Jess from Peace Love Books, I'm gonna tag Elliot Brooks, Angela from Literature Science Alliance, Mara from Brooks Like Whoa, Kaz from Little Book Owl, Becca from Becca and the Books, Erin from Booked and Busy. That's a lot of people though, and I probably have forgotten people. So yeah, if you are booktube oldie like me, definitely do this video. Tell me about it. Send it to me on all the social media platforms. And yeah, I hope you enjoy me resurrecting book tags. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.